The badge in my hand has my photograph on it, but the name printed beneath is not mine. I read it 3 times. Agent Marcus Vell. The letters do not rearrange themselves no matter how long I stare. My fingers remember signing a different name on the intake form 40 minutes ago, but my fingers are liars now, and the ink on the badge is the only thing the building agrees to remember. I cannot recall what my own handwriting looked like this morning. I know I have handwriting. I know I have used it for 30-some years. The shape of it has been removed from me with the same surgical neatness as the name on the form, and what remains is the knowledge that something has been removed, which is worse than the removal itself. I'm sitting in a windowless orientation room on what the elevator panel insists is Sublevel 4 of the J. Edgar Hoover building, though I rode down for what felt like 9 minutes. The fluorescent lights above me hum at a pitch that doesn't match any electrical frequency I know. Every 12 seconds, one of them blinks. Always the same one, always 12 seconds. I've been counting because counting is the only thing that hasn't started lying to me yet. There are 6 chairs in the room. 5 are empty. The 6th holds me, and I cannot remember walking in. The carpet beneath my shoes is the color of old coffee, the kind of industrial weave that has absorbed 30 years of footsteps and given nothing back. The walls are beige, but it is not a single beige. The longer I look at, the more I notice that each wall is a slightly different shade, as if 4 separate painters worked from 4 separate cans of paint that had each been told they were matching the same color. The ceiling tiles are the standard government drop grid, except for one tile near the corner that has been replaced recently. The replacement is whiter than the others. It does not match. Nothing in this room quite matches anything else in this room, and the cumulative effect is of a space that has been assembled by someone working from a description rather than a memory. A binder sits on the steel table in front of me. Black cover, no markings, the kind of administrative object that has been designed to be forgotten. On the front, embossed so faintly that I only notice it when I tilt the binder toward the light, are 3 letters: D-A-C. Below that, in smaller print, Division of Anomalous Compliance, internal use only. Do not photograph. Do not memorize. The last instruction makes me laugh, a single dry sound that the walls absorb without echo. Then the laugh continues for half a second after my mouth closes, and I stop finding it funny. I open the binder. The first page is a personnel record. My personnel record. There's a photograph clipped to the corner of me, but younger by maybe 2 years, wearing a suit I do not own. Beneath it, a list of fields filled in with typewriter precision. Surname, Vell. Given name, Marcus. Previous designation, redacted. See Rule 7. Mother's maiden name, redacted. See Rule 7. Childhood address, redacted. See Rule 7. First pet, redacted. See Rule 7. I try to remember my mother's maiden name. I cannot. It's not that I've forgotten in the way you forget a phone number. It's that the place in my mind where the name used to live has been neatly excised, like a page torn from a book, and the torn edge is still warm. I know I had a mother. I know she had a name before she married. I know I knew it this morning. The knowing is intact. The thing being known is gone. My hands begin to shake. I press them flat against the table to make them stop, and the table is colder than steel should be at room temperature. Underneath my left palm, I can feel a vibration, not mechanical, rhythmic, like something is breathing through the metal. I turn the page. The second page is titled, in plain bureaucratic font, Operational Conduct Guidelines. The first 3 rules are mundane. Report to your handler at 0700. Sign all field reports in black ink. Do not discuss casework outside the division. I read them without absorbing them, because my eyes are already pulling ahead to Rule 7, the one the personnel form kept pointing toward, the one that has already taken my mother from me. Rule 4 stops me. If you find yourself reading the rulebook for what you believe to be the first time, you are mistaken. The belief is part of the rulebook. The mistake is part of the procedure. Continue without alarm. I continue. I am not certain whether I am alarmed. Alarm requires a baseline of calm to measure against, and I am no longer sure what my baseline was. Rule 5. Do not count the chairs in the orientation room. The count will be wrong. Wrongness is permitted in this instance. I had, of course, already counted. 6, 5 empty, 1 occupied. The count had felt correct. The rule is now telling me it was not, and I do not look up to recount because I am afraid of which direction the error will resolve. Rule 6. The handler will arrive at 0700. The handler has always arrived at 0700. The handler is not, in the strictest sense, a person. The handler is the moment of 0700 wearing a suit. Address it accordingly. And then, Rule 7. Rule 7 is a single sentence. Upon induction, the agent will forget the name they were born with. This process is non-reversible and has already begun. I read it twice. The second time, I noticed that the verb tense is wrong. Has already begun. Not will begin. Past perfect. The rule is not a warning. It is a status update. I closed the binder. I open it again immediately because closing it felt like an admission that I had read something, and I am not yet willing to admit that. The page has changed. Rule 7 still occupies the same position on the sheet, but the sentence beneath it now reads, "The agent has forgotten the name they were born with. The agent is doing well. The agent should continue." My breath catches in the back of my throat like a fishhook. I push the binder away. I stand up. The chair scrapes against the floor and the sound continues for 1 full second after the chair has stopped moving, a scraping that travels off down the hallway outside the door like something with legs. The door has no handle on my side. I had not noticed this when I came in. I had not noticed because I do not remember coming in. The door is a smooth rectangle of brushed metal, seamless, with a card reader mounted to the wall beside it. The card reader is dark. My badge, Agent Marcus Vell, feels heavier in my pocket than it did a moment ago, as if it has been drinking something. A voice speaks from a speaker I cannot locate. "Agent Vell, please return to your seat. Orientation is not complete." The voice is calm, female, middle-aged, the kind of voice that reads safety announcements on commuter trains. It is also unmistakably my mother's voice, not the voice of a woman who sounds like my mother. Her voice. The specific cadence she used when she was trying not to be angry with me. The exact pitch of her disappointment. I sit down. I do not remember choosing to sit down. "Thank you, Agent Vell," the voice says. "Please proceed to Rule 8. My hand opens the binder. My hand turns the page. I watch my hand do these things from somewhere just behind my own eyes, as though I have been moved into the back seat of my body and someone more compliant is driving. Rule 8 reads, "Do not look at the empty chairs." The empty chairs are not empty during orientation. They are simply not yet visible to you. Acknowledging them accelerates the visibility process. I am, of course, already looking at the empty chairs. There are 5 of them. I had counted them when I walked in. If I walked in and confirmed they were empty. Now, sitting at the table with the binder open in front of me, I can see them in my peripheral vision, and they are still empty. And that is the problem. The rule did not say they will appear occupied. The rule said acknowledging them accelerates the visibility process, which means something is already in them, something I have not yet been permitted to see. I feel it before I see it. The chair to my immediate left, the one closest to me, develops a weight, not a person. A weight. The air around it thickens by some small percentage. The way a room feels different when someone has just stopped speaking. I can hear breathing that is not mine and not coming from the speaker. The breathing is patient. It has been patient for a long time. I do not turn my head. I read Rule 9. Your handler will arrive at 0700. Until then, you are alone in the room. If you believe you are not alone, you are mistaken. The mistake is yours to correct. I read Rule 10. Do not write in the binder. The binder writes in you. I had not been planning to write in the binder. I notice now that there is no pen on the table and that I am unable to remember whether there was ever a pen on the table. The absence of the pen feels deliberate. Rule 11. If the lights blink in a pattern that resembles a heartbeat, the heartbeat is not yours. Do not match your breathing to it. Matching is a form of consent. I become aware immediately that the one fluorescent light blinking every 12 seconds has, and at some point I did not register, shifted to a more complicated pattern. 2 short, 1 long. 2 short, 1 long. The interval between cycles is roughly the rate of a resting pulse, and my own breathing has, without my permission, begun to align with the long blink. I force myself to breathe off rhythm. The light blinks twice in rapid succession as if briefly annoyed, and then resumes the original 12-second cycle as if pretending it had never tried. Rules 12 through 17 are administrative decoys, filing protocols, badge protocols, the proper form of address for a superior, the specific brand of black ink the division requires for field reports, the mandatory phrasing for after-action summaries, the procedure for requesting leave that will not be granted. I read them quickly. They have a lighter weight on the page than the real rules. The way counterfeit currency feels different from the real thing if you have handled enough of both, and I have apparently handled a great deal of both. Rule 18. If, while reading these rules, you experience the sensation of being read in return, do not look up. The thing that is reading you will mistake eye contact for an invitation. I do not look up. I am, of course, experiencing the sensation of being read in return. It is not subtle. It is the same feeling as standing in a museum and slowly realizing that the portrait on the wall has been adjusting its gaze to follow you across the room. Except the portrait is not on the wall. The portrait is the room. Rule 19. The orientation room exists in a state of partial occupation. You are the most recent occupant. You are not the only one. The others will not interfere with your orientation unless you give them a reason. Reasons include speaking aloud without instruction, attempting to leave, weeping, prayer. I had been about to speak aloud. I closed my mouth. Rule 20. Memory loss is not a side effect of induction. Memory loss is induction. Anything you remember about your life before 0600 this morning is provisional. The division reserves the right to revise. Rule 21. Do not attempt to write your birth name on any surface, including in your own mind. The division has detection protocols for this. The protocols are not gentle. Rule 22. If you reach this rule, you are doing well. Most agents do not reach this rule on their first reading. The fact that you have reached it suggests you have read the binder before. Do not be alarmed by this. Alarm is a luxury the division cannot, at this point, afford you. I close the binder. I do not open it again. I check my watch. The watch reads 6:58. 2 minutes until my handler arrives. 2 minutes during which I am, by divisional decree, alone, regardless of the breathing on my left, regardless of the weight in the chair, regardless of what I can feel beginning to lean toward me with the slow inevitability of a tree falling in a forest I have never visited. The mistake is mine to correct. I correct it. I tell myself, I am alone. I say it out loud. I am alone in this room. The breathing on my left says it back to me, in my own voice, 2 seconds delayed. The watch reads 6:58. It has been reading 6:58 for what feels like a long time. I close my eyes. This is, I will later understand, a mistake of a different category. With my eyes closed, the breathing becomes clearer, and I can hear that it is not one breath, but 5, layered, slightly out of phase, the way a choir sounds in the half-second before they find the note. 5 chairs, 5 breaths. The room has been full this entire time. The room has perhaps always been full. I am the only one who arrived. The door opens. I had not heard footsteps. I had not heard a card swipe. The door simply is not closed anymore, and a man is standing in the doorway, and the watch on my wrist now reads 7 o'clock. Agent Vell, he says. I'm Handler Crane. Welcome to the division. He is tall, gray at the temples, wearing a charcoal suit that has been pressed by someone who took the pressing seriously. He has the kind of face that you forget while you are still looking at it. I try to fix his features in my memory, and they slide away from me like wet soap. There is a watch on his left wrist. The second hand does not move. I watch it for 10 of my seconds. It does not advance. He notices me noticing and does not adjust his sleeve. He simply allows me to see. Stand up, please, he says. Bring the binder. Leave the chair. I stand. I bring the binder. I do not look at the other chairs as I walk past them, but I can feel them watching me leave, 5 sets of attention pulling at the back of my neck like static. The hallway outside the orientation room is longer than the building should allow. I know the dimensions of the Hoover building. I have, somewhere in the part of my training that has not yet been redacted, studied the floor plans. There is no hallway on Sublevel 4 that runs this long in a straight line. And yet I am walking down it, beside Handler Crane, and the corridor extends ahead of us with a vanishing point so distant that the fluorescent lights blur into a single white line where they meet. The corridor has doors. The doors do not have numbers. They have, instead, small brass plates, each engraved with a single word: inventory, sublimation, quiet, bargaining, storage of persons no longer currently themselves. I read this last plate twice before deciding I had not read it correctly the first time, and on the second reading, the plate had become blank, as if the door had felt my attention and withdrawn its label out of modesty. The carpet down here is different from the carpet in the orientation room. It is a deep red, the red of old theaters, and it absorbs our footsteps completely. I cannot hear myself walking. I can see myself walking. The disconnection between the two is small but accumulating, and I get the sense that if I stop watching my own feet, my feet will stop knowing what to do. We pass a door marked quiet. As I draw level with it, the door clicks. Not loudly. A small, deliberate sound, the sound a lock makes when it is acknowledging a passerby. Crane does not react. The door clicks again as I move past it, a second time, slightly louder, the way a person clears their throat to be noticed. I keep walking. 3 paces beyond the door, I hear it click a third time, and this time the click is followed by the softest possible exhalation from inside. The sound a room makes when it has been holding its breath and decides, with regret, to let it go. Whatever was behind the door had been waiting for me to stop. I had not stopped. The door, I understand, will remember this. The corridor itself now feels measured behind me, as if my passage has been logged, as if the building has been keeping a running tally of every door I have failed to open and is reserving judgment until the count is complete. "How are you finding the rulebook?" Crane asks. I begin, and then I stop because I have to think about what I actually found. "It changes. It clarifies," he corrects me. "The rulebook does not change. Your capacity to perceive its contents changes. There's a difference. The difference is important. You will learn the difference." He says this without looking at me. He says everything without looking at me. I get the impression that he has not actually looked at any new agent in a very long time. Perhaps because looking at them is something the division discourages. Perhaps because there is no longer enough of him left to perform the act of looking. I count his blinks. He does not blink. Not once in what I estimate is 2 full minutes of walking. His eyes are open and forward and entirely uninvolved with the maintenance schedule that human eyes require. I add this to the list of things I am pretending not to notice. "Rule 7, I say. My voice comes out thinner than I intend. "It says I'll forget my name, my birth name." "It says you have forgotten," Crane says. "Present perfect. Try to be accurate, Agent Vell. Accuracy is one of the few protections you have left." "I haven't forgotten. I try to summon the name. I reach for the shape of it, the syllables, the way it felt in my mouth when my mother used to call me in from the yard. There is a yard. I remember a yard. I remember the sound of being called. The sound is there. The name has been removed from the sound, the way you might remove a word from a recording and leave the breath around it intact. You can't, Crane says, and the more you reach for it, the faster the surrounding memories degrade. Rule 7 is contagious. Adjacent memories begin to soften. You should stop reaching, Agent Vell. You should let the name go cleanly. Agents who fight Rule 7 lose more than the name. They lose the people who said the name. They lose the places where the name was said. By the end of the first week, they have lost the childhood the name lived in. By the end of the first month, they are no one. We don't keep agents who are no one. We have other uses for them. I stop reaching. I stop reaching so hard that the act of not reaching becomes its own kind of effort, a clenched fist around an absence. The corridor bends. I had not noticed it bending. I look back and the door we came through is no longer visible, not because of distance, but because the corridor behind us has straightened in a way that does not match the corridor ahead, as if the architecture is remembering itself differently depending on which direction is being observed. Crane does not look back. Crane has never, I suspect, needed to. We pass a window. I had not been expecting a window on Sublevel 4. The window looks out onto a courtyard. The courtyard contains a single bench, and on the bench sits a man in a charcoal suit, gray at the temples, who looks exactly like Handler Crane. He is facing the building. He is looking up at our window. When I look at him, he raises one hand and waves, slowly, in the kind of greeting one gives to a person one has known for a very long time, and is not entirely pleased to see again. I look at the Crane walking beside me. He does not acknowledge the window. He does not acknowledge the other him. We continue walking. I begin. There isn't, Crane says. We walk. The corridor finally ends, or rather, it does not end so much as concede, and we arrive at a door marked Briefing. Crane swipes his badge. The door opens onto a room that is smaller than the door suggested, the way some rooms in this building are. A table, 2 chairs, a file folder on the table, closed. Sit, Crane says. Read. Do not open the folder until I tell you to. Do not ask questions until I tell you to. You have 15 minutes. He leaves. The door closes. I am alone in a way that I have already learned not to trust. The folder sits on the table. It is thin. Whatever case it contains has not yet accumulated weight. I look around the room. The walls are the same beige as the orientation room, but a different shade of beige, closer to the third wall of the orientation room than the others, as if this room has been mixed from the same imperfect description. The light fixture is the same. The chair beneath me is the same chair, I am almost certain, though I watch myself leave the previous chair behind. There is a small mirror mounted on the wall opposite me, at eye level, the kind of mirror that exists in interrogation rooms so that the people inside know they are being watched. I look at the mirror. The man in the mirror is wearing my suit. He has my hands, my posture, the small scar on my jaw from a childhood I am beginning to forget the shape of. But his face is wrong. Not dramatically. Not in a way I could point to. His face is wrong in the way a photocopy of a photocopy is wrong, every feature present, every feature slightly degraded, every feature one generation further from the original. He blinks before I do. I count deliberately 3 seconds. I blink. He blinks 2 seconds before me. I raise my right hand. He raises his right hand. The timing is correct. The reflection is functioning. Only the face is wrong, and the face is getting wronger the longer I look. I try an experiment. I close my left eye. He closes his left eye on cue the way a reflection should. But then, a half-second later, he closes his right eye as well and looks at me with both eyes shut and smiles. I do not smile. He smiles anyway, with my mouth, with the muscles I have not given him permission to use. He opens his eyes again. The smile is gone. The reflection is, once again, behaving. I look away. When I look back, the face has settled. The face is mine again. The face has always been mine. I am, perhaps, imagining things. The division has perhaps prepared a room designed to make new agents imagine things, as a kind of stress test. This is a reasonable explanation. This is the explanation I choose, because the alternative explanations are not survivable. I open the folder. Crane has not yet told me to open the folder. I open it anyway because I want to know what is inside before he wants me to know, because I am still, in some small way, the person I was this morning, and that person was not somebody who waited for permission. The folder contains a single photograph and a single sheet of paper. The photograph is of me, not me as I am now, me as I was in the suit I do not own, the one from the personnel file, the photograph clipped to my record. Same suit, same posture, same slight tilt of the head. But in this photograph, I am standing in the orientation room. I am sitting in one of the 5 empty chairs. I am looking directly at the camera, and my expression is the expression of someone who has been waiting a very long time, and who has just realized that the person they were waiting for has arrived. The sheet of paper beneath the photograph reads, Case File 4471. Subject, Agent Marcus Vell. Status, Inducted Day 1. Note, subject has previously been inducted on 17 prior occasions. Memory of prior inductions has been removed per Rule 7. Subject is performing within expected parameters. Continue. 17. I read the word 17 and the room around me does something I do not have language for. It does not move. It does not change. It simply becomes a room I have been in before. The beige of the walls becomes a beige I have stared at. The chair beneath me becomes a chair that knows the shape of me. The mirror on the wall becomes a mirror I have seen myself in. And the face that was wrong is wrong because it is the 17th iteration of a face that was never going to be allowed to remain mine. I close the folder. I open it again. The photograph has changed. I am still in the chair in the orientation room, but now there are 6 figures in the photograph, 5 in the surrounding chairs, 1 in mine. They are all me. Each one a slightly different generation of the photocopy, each one a slightly degraded version of the face I am still, for the moment, allowed to wear. The 5 in the surrounding chairs are looking at the 6th. The 6th is looking at the camera. The 6th is smiling. I am not currently smiling. The door opens behind me. I do not turn around. I do not need to. I can feel Crane in the room the way I felt the breathing in the orientation chairs, a weight, a presence, an additional gravity. You opened the folder early, he says. There is no anger in his voice. There is, if anything, a kind of tired recognition. You always open the folder early. We have, at various points, considered whether to remove the folder from the briefing room entirely. We have decided not to. The early opening is part of the process. You need to see the photograph. You need to see the 17. What is this place? I say. It is not a question. Questions require the energy of expecting an answer, and I have run out of that energy. This is the division of anomalous compliance, Crane says. We investigate violations of consensus reality. We contain entities that should not exist. We enforce rules that the rest of the Bureau does not know exist, because the rest of the Bureau is not equipped to know. The work is necessary. The work is also expensive. The expense is paid in identity. Yours, mine, every agent who has ever walked the corridor on Sublevel 4. The names go first, then the memories, then the faces. By the time an agent has been with the division for 10 years, there is very little of them left to lose, and that is when they become useful in ways that newer agents cannot understand. 17 times, I say. 17 inductions, Crane corrects. You have been inducted 17 times. Each induction you forget the previous induction. Each induction you begin again with a different surname. The Bureau prefers it this way. Continuity of personnel without continuity of person. It allows us to retain institutional knowledge in the body while replacing the inhabitant. You are not, in any meaningful sense, the same Agent Vell who was inducted last month. You have his hands, you have his casework, you do not have his memories, and he does not have yours because you are not, technically, going to have any. And the others. I gesture vaguely at the folder. The 5 in the chairs. Crane is quiet for a long moment. The 5 in the chairs, he says, are the inductions that did not take, agents who resisted Rule 7, agents who held on to the name too tightly. The division could not employ them. The division could not release them either because they knew too much. They remain in the orientation room. They are present at every induction. They breathe at the new agents left. They wait. They are waiting specifically for the induction that fails the way theirs failed, so that they will have company. I think about the breathing. I think about how, when I said I am alone in this room, some questions are never meant to my own voice. They're me, I say. They are versions of you that did not survive the process, Crane says. Yes, I sit with this for what feels like a long time and is, by the clock on the wall, 4 seconds. I want to leave. You can't, Crane says gently. You signed the paperwork at 0600. You took the oath at 0615. You opened the binder at 0640. You are, at this point, a fully inducted agent of the Division of Anomalous Compliance. Resigning is not within the rule structure. The rule structure does not contain a mechanism for it. If you attempt to leave the building, you will find that the building does not contain an exit you are permitted to perceive. If you persist in attempting, you will find that the building begins to contain you, rather than the other way around. I am telling you this because I like you, Agent Vell. I have liked all 17 of you. The one I liked the most was the 3rd. He had a sense of humor. The division removed it at the 8-month mark. It was interfering with his fieldwork. I look at my hands. They are still my hands. The scar on the knuckle of my left index finger is still there from a dog bite when I was 9. I remember the dog. I remember the bite. I do not remember the name of the dog. I do not remember the name of the street the dog lived on. I do not remember what I was called when I bled into my mother's lap and she said, "It's all right, redacted, see Rule 7. It's all right." The dog had a name. The street had a name. The boy had a name. The division has taken all 3 and left only the bite. "What's my assignment?" I say. Crane looks pleased. Not because I have asked the question, but because I have asked it at the correct point in the induction sequence. The previous 16 inductions, I infer, also asked it at this point. The division has built a structure that anticipates the moment a person stops resisting and starts working, and the structure is reliable, and the structure is me. Containment breach on sublevel 6, he says. An entity designated subject 4471-B has exceeded its rule structure. Your job is to restore the rule structure. You'll be briefed on the way down. 4471-B, I say. The case file in front of me is labeled 4471. You'll understand the numbering when we get there, Crane says. He turns to leave. I follow him because there is nothing else to do, because the folder on the table has begun to feel like something I have read too many times, because the man in the mirror has started blinking out of sync again, and I do not want to be in the room when he stops blinking entirely. The elevator down to sublevel 6 is older than the rest of the building. The doors are brass. The interior is paneled in a dark wood that has been polished by hands that no longer exist. There is no button for sublevel 5. There is a button for sublevel 4 where we are, and a button for sublevel 6 where we are going, and between them a small brass plate that reads, "Maintenance floor, do not press authorized personnel only." And beneath that, in smaller letters that I have to lean in to read, "Authorization is not currently being granted to anyone, including the person who installed this button." Crane presses 6. The doors close. The descent begins. The elevator does not display the floor we are passing. The numbers above the door do not count. They simply display the letter D in the same font as the binder embossing for the duration of the descent. I count seconds. I lose count somewhere after 400. There is music in the elevator, a soft string arrangement, no melody I can identify. After a minute, I realize the arrangement is a slowed-down version of a song my mother used to sing to me when I was small. I do not remember the lyrics. I do not remember the title. I remember only that she sang it, and that the elevator has somehow obtained a copy of it and is using it now against me to soften the descent. Crane stands beside me with his hands folded in front of him. He does not look at the floor display. He does not look at me. He looks at the seam where the elevator doors meet with the expression of a man who has spent a great deal of his life looking at seams where doors meet, waiting for the door on the other side to open into a room he has already failed. On sublevel 6, he says, the rules are different. You should know this in advance. The rules upstairs are designed to protect the Bureau from the agents. The rules downstairs are designed to protect the agents from the things the Bureau has put down there. Both sets are necessary. Neither is sufficient. What's down there? Things that used to be people, he says. Things that have always been things. Things that the Bureau is not certain how to classify, and that the rule structure has been built around in the hope that classification will become possible later. We do not, as a rule, succeed in classifying them. We do, as a rule, contain them. Containment is a lower bar than understanding. The division has made peace with the lower bar. The elevator slows. I had not felt it accelerate, but I feel it slow, the way you feel a tide deciding to come back in. The doors open. The doors open onto a corridor that is colder than any corridor in a government building has the right to be. The walls are not beige. The walls are the color of an old bruise, the yellow-green of healing, and the lights overhead are not fluorescent but something older, sodium orange, the color of a street light in a town you used to live in but cannot now name. Rule 23, Crane says as we walk. On sublevel 6, do not speak the name of the entity you are containing. Speaking the name grants the entity access to the speaker. The division has lost 4 agents this way in the past year. We will not lose a 5th. How do I contain it without naming it? You'll know, Crane says. The body remembers what the mind has been required to forget. You have done this 16 times. The 17th will not be different. The corridor on sublevel 6 does not behave the way the corridors above behaved. It does not extend toward a vanishing point. It bends gently in a direction I cannot name. Not left, not right, inward. The walls curve toward each other in a way that should bring them together within a few yards, but they do not meet. They simply continue curving, and the corridor continues. And I have the distinct sensation that I am walking along the inside of a shape that does not exist in 3 dimensions. We pass other doors. These doors do not have words on them. They have symbols, a circle with a line through it, a square inside a square, a shape that resembles an eye but has too many parts. Each door hums at a slightly different frequency. The cumulative hum is almost a chord, almost, but not quite. The not quite is the part that hurts to listen to. A speaker somewhere in the ceiling crackles briefly, and my mother's voice speaks again. Agent Vell, do not look at the door behind you. That is all. The speaker goes quiet. Crane does not react. I do not look at the door behind me because I have already learned what happens when I disobey rules I have not yet been given, and because the instruction came in my mother's voice, and because some part of me that is older than the division still does what my mother says. We arrive at a door. The door is round, like a vault, with a wheel mechanism in the center. The wheel has been recently turned. I can see scratches in the metal where someone gripped it. The scratches are the shape of fingernails. They are on the inside of the wheel. Crane does not turn the wheel. He steps back. This is yours, he says. I will be in the observation room. The observation room is sealed. You will be alone with the entity. Rule 23 applies. Rule 7 applies. All other rules apply, including the ones you have not yet been shown. The unshown rules are the most important. They will manifest as instinct. Trust the instinct. The instinct is what is left of the agents who came before you. He walks away. I watch him until the corridor takes him. The corridor takes him quickly. He turns one corner and is gone. And I have the impression that the corner he turned was not geometrically a corner that existed before he turned it. I turn the wheel. The door opens onto a room with no walls. This is technically impossible. The room has dimensions. I can see the floor extend a certain distance. I can see the ceiling stop a certain height, but where the walls should be, there is only a kind of soft gray that does not resolve into surface no matter how long I look. The room is bounded by an absence. The absence is patient. The floor of the room is wood, old wood, dark, polished by feet, the same wood as the elevator. I look down at the floor and see that there are 16 faint discolorations in the wood, 16 pale circles where chairs have stood for long periods of time, 16 rings of slightly lighter polish where the weight of 17 years of waiting has worn the dark wood thin. In the center of the room is a chair. In the chair is me. Not a photograph of me, not a reflection of me. Me, wearing the suit I do not own, sitting with the posture of someone who has been waiting a very long time, looking directly at me with an expression I recognize because it is the expression from the photograph, the expression of someone who has been waiting and has just realized the person they were waiting for has arrived. Hello, the other me says. He uses my voice. He uses it better than I do. He has had more practice. You're subject 4471-B, I say. I'm 4471-B, he agrees. You're 4471. There have been 16 others between us. They are all in this room technically, but the room is generous about what it lets you see at any given time. I look around. The gray absence does not move, but I have the distinct impression that it is layered, that within it there are 15 other versions of this conversation happening simultaneously, 15 other agents named Vell standing where I'm standing, 15 other entities in the chair using my voice with varying degrees of skill. You're me, I say. I'm the part of you that didn't make it through Rule 7, he says. The part that held on to the name. The division extracted me from you on day 1. Your day 1, not mine. I've been here for 11 years and stored me here, in this room, with the others. We are what is left when the division takes the name. We are the names. We are very lonely. We are very angry. The division calls us a containment breach. We call ourselves the only honest part of you. Why did Crane send me down here? The other me smiles. It is the smile from the second photograph. It is a smile I have not yet learned how to make because I am still, in some small way, the person who walked into the building this morning. Because every 17th induction, he says, the division reintegrates. They put you in the room with us. They lock the door. They see if the name comes back. If it comes back, they have a problem, a fully integrated agent who remembers everything, including the 17 inductions, including what the division actually is, including what it does to people like us. They cannot have a fully integrated agent. So they wait in the observation room with the wheel on the outside of the door. If the name comes back, they don't open the door again. They leave you in here, with us, forever. And they begin the 18th induction in the morning, with a new face and a new badge and the same hands. I look at the door behind me. The wheel from this side has no grip. It is a smooth circle of metal. The scratches I saw on the outside are, I now understand, not from someone trying to get out. They are from someone trying to get in. From the inside. From me. From the previous me. From the second me, or the 7th, or the 14th. The room is very quiet. The gray begins slowly to resolve. Not into walls, into faces. 15 of them arranged in a loose circle around the chair. Each one a generation of the photocopy. Each one a face I have worn and will not be allowed to wear again. They are not looking at me. They are looking at the other me, the one in the chair, the one who has been waiting. I look at them. I cannot stop myself from looking. The first face, the oldest, the one farthest from the chair, the one I assume corresponds to my first induction 17 years ago, has my features but worn thin, the way a sculpture is worn thin by centuries of pilgrims touching it. His eyes are tired in a way that has stopped being tired and become something more permanent, an exhaustion that has graduated into structure. The second face is younger but harder. His jaw is set the way mine sets when I am refusing to cry. He is, I understand, the version of me who took the longest to give up the name. The division kept him here, I suspect, as an example to the others. The third face is the one Crane mentioned, the one with the sense of humor. There is, even now, a slight upturn at the corner of his mouth, the residual architecture of a smile that the division removed but could not quite sand flat. I want to apologize to him. I do not know what I am apologizing for. The fourth and fifth faces are nearly identical. They were perhaps inducted close together, and the division had not yet developed the technique of producing meaningful variation between iterations. They look at me with the same expression, not anger, not sorrow, just a kind of clinical interest, as if they are observing the progress of an experiment they have already concluded. The eighth face is trying to speak. His lips are moving. The shape of the words is clear. I can almost read them, but no sound comes out. Whatever the division did to him, it took the sound first and left the shape. And he has spent however many years he has been in this room trying to push a word past the place where the sound used to be. He is still trying. He is looking directly at me, and his lips are forming what I think is don't. And I do not know whether he means don't listen, or don't sit down, or don't say the name. And I will never know, because the division did not leave him enough of himself to specify. The 12th face is the one that breaks the chorus. The others are all turned toward the chair, toward the other me, with the attentive uniformity of an audience. The 12th face is turned the other way. He is looking at the gray. His shoulders are angled away from the center of the room, his chin slightly lifted, in the posture of a man who has chosen, at some point in his long containment, to stop participating. He has not been allowed to leave. He has merely stopped facing inward. It is the only rebellion the room permits, and he has been performing it, I suspect, for years. I try to lift my own hand. I want to wave at him or to signal some kind of recognition, some acknowledgement that I have seen him refusing. My hand does not lift. My hand instead settles itself flat against my thigh, palm down, in a posture of resigned attention that I did not choose and do not recognize. My body has decided on my behalf to participate. The instinct Crane mentioned the residue of the previous agents has overridden me. I have been outvoted by my own muscle memory. 16-1. I do not look at the other faces. I cannot. The accumulated weight of being witnessed by 15 previous versions of myself is more than my nervous system was designed to bear, and I feel the edges of my vision begin to narrow, the way they narrow before fainting. Except I do not faint because the division does not permit fainting in this room. The rule has not been spoken aloud. The rule is, as Crane said, instinct. Don't say the name, the other me says softly. Rule 23, if you say it, I get access. If you say it, I come with you back into the body, and the division will know, and they will leave you in here. But if you don't say it, if you let me stay forgotten, the way the division wants you walk out of this room as Agent Marcus Vell, and tomorrow you'll be inducted again as Agent something else, and the part of you that is me will be removed and added to this room, and you will never know I existed, and you will never know that you have a mother whose maiden name was... He pauses. He is, I realize, giving me a choice, not a real choice. The division has not built real choices into this room, but the appearance of one. He is letting me decide whether to want the name back. He is letting me weigh the cost. The cost is everything. The reward is a single name. Don't, I say. The word comes out smaller than I intend. Please don't say it. I have to, he says. I'm sorry. The others did too. We agreed, all of us, before you arrived. The 17th induction has to know. The 17th induction has to be given the chance to choose, even if the choosing is the same every time. Otherwise, we are just storage. Otherwise, we are just what the division says we are. He draws a breath. The 15 faces in the gray draw the same breath at the same time. The 8th, the one who cannot make sound, mouths it with us. The 12th, the one who had turned away, slowly turns back. He is finally facing the chair. He wants to be present for this. He has waited a long time, in the only rebellion the room permitted him, for a reason to face forward again. The room is so quiet I can hear the wood floor remembering the weight of every previous chair. He says the name. He says my mother's maiden name. He says it clearly in my voice with the cadence I used to use when I said it. The name lands in my mind like a key turning in a lock that has been waiting 11 years to be opened. And with the name comes the yard. With the yard comes the dog. With the dog comes the street. With the street comes the boy. With the boy comes the name the boy was called. My name. My real name. The one Rule 7 took from me at 0640 this morning and has been taking from me at 0640 every morning for 17 inductions, and I remember it. I remember all of it. I remember being inducted the first time and the second time and the 7th and the 14th. I remember Crane saying, I have liked all 17 of you. And I remember that he was lying, because by the 3rd induction he had stopped liking anyone. Because liking requires the energy of expecting a person to remain. And Crane has not expected that of anyone in a very long time. I remember. I am, for the first time in 11 years, whole. The door behind me does not open. I turn the wheel that has no grip. My fingernails find purchase the way the fingernails before me found purchase. I understand now what the scratches were. They were not attempts to escape. They were signatures. Each previous me leaving a mark so that the next me would know we had been here. So that the 17th me would understand that the wheel does not turn from the inside. That the wheel has never turned from the inside. That the division designed it this way on purpose. In the observation room, Crane is watching. I cannot see him, but I can feel the weight of his attention. The way I felt the weight in the empty chair during orientation. He is waiting to see if the name came back. He already knows the answer. He has known it for 16 iterations. The waiting is procedural. The sealing is, by now, a reflex. I look at the other me in the chair. He is no longer smiling. He looks instead sorry. He looks like someone who has done a kind thing that will have an unkind consequence, and who has done it anyway because the alternative was to leave me forgotten one more time. I'm sorry, he says. I couldn't watch it happen again. I couldn't watch you walk out of here as nobody for the 18th time. I would rather we be in here together than be out there apart. Rule 4 returns to me, unbidden. You are mistaken. Continue without alarm. I do not feel alarm. I feel instead the slow arrival of a recognition that has been postponed for 17 years and is finally, gently, taking its seat. The gray closes in. The 15 faces turn slowly to look at me. They are not angry. They are relieved. They have been waiting a long time for the circle to close. I sit down in the chair across from the other me. There is, I notice, a second chair. There has, perhaps, always been a second chair. The chair fits me the way the orientation chair fit me, the way the briefing chair fit me, the way every chair in this building has fit me since 0600 this morning, because the building has been measuring me for 17 years, and the building, finally, has me. The light in the room dims. I hear from very far away the sound of a wheel turning on the outside of a door. The sound is final. The sound is the sound a vault makes when it decides it will not open again. And somewhere above me on Sublevel 4, in an orientation room with 6 chairs now, a new agent is reading a binder. He is on Rule 7. His badge says Agent Marcus Vell. His photograph is clipped to a file that lists 17 previous inductions. The 18th has just begun. He does not remember his mother's maiden name. He is reaching for it. Same fingers, same suit, same scar on the same knuckle, same dog whose name he will never remember. In the chair to his immediate left, the breathing has begun. It is my breathing now. I have joined the others. I am one of the 6. I will wait. I will breathe in his ear. I will say the things he says 2 seconds delayed in his own voice. I will be the weight in the chair he is not yet permitted to see. And when he comes down to Sublevel 6, the way I came down, I will be in the gray with the others. I will watch him sit across from himself. I will hope, the way the others hoped for me, that this time the name comes back. It will not come back. It has not come back in 17 inductions. It will not come back in 18. But hope in this room is the only thing the division has not yet figured out how to redact. The wheel finishes turning. Above me, the new agent Vell closes the binder. He opens it again. Rule 7 has changed. The agent has forgotten the name he was born with. The agent is doing well. The agent should continue. The agent is not alone in the room. The mistake is his to correct. He corrects it. He says in a voice that used to be mine, I am alone in this room. And I, from the chair on his left, in a body I no longer have, say it back to him, 2 seconds delayed, in his own voice. If this stayed with you, something else is waiting. Sis.